A roof has a slope of 4 and 12 slope, a 4 and 12 pitch, whatever you want to call that. Determine the angles that would need to be cut so that the rafter meets the horizontal and the vertical to the nearest degree. So we have a 4 and 12 pitch. So generally when you're talking about a pitch of a roof, it's stated as the rise over the run. So the rise, if we had something like this would be maybe 4 feet, and the run would be 12 feet. Now usually when you state this, I think of it as a number of inches, 4 inches per 12 inches of run. That way you can just have it, be 1 foot, 4 inches of rise for 1 foot of run. However, as long as the ratio is 4 to 12, it doesn't really matter how big these are, because we're talking at this point similar triangles. And the angles we're talking about, if we're talking about trying to cut a rafter, if we're trying to cut one of these so that we have this angle here to meet up with the horizontal or the vertical, and this angle here so that it matches up with the horizontal, we're trying to figure out what those angles are. So let's see. Well, let me figure out what this angle is. Let's call this A, B, C, like this. So if I'm trying to find angle A, that's this angle right here. And if I have that angle, you can see that is this angle right here. It's the same angle, this angle. So tangent of A, I guess I should explain why I'm using tangent. SOHCAHTOA. If I'm describing A as my reference angle, the two sides that I'm using are the opposite and the adjacent. So the opposite and the adjacent are exactly the two scribes that we're using when we're dealing with a tangent. So the tangent of A is equal to 4 over 12. Okay? And that means that A must be, well, I want to get rid of the tangent, which means I want to do the inverse tangent of 4/12. So A is the inverse tangent of 4/12, which is 18.4. We'll call this approximately 18 degrees. B, this angle up here, this angle up here, well, instead of that being the opposite and that being the adjacent, now this is the adjacent and this one's the opposite. Because if this is the reference angle, then you can see this 12 is the side that's opposite. So now I have the tangent of B is equal to 12 over 4. So B must be the inverse tangent, a tan of 12 over 4. 12 over 4 is just 3. So I'm going to say the inverse tangent of 3 to get 72 degrees. So that means this right here is an 18-degree angle. This one right here is a 72-degree angle. Now, you have to be a little bit careful when you're doing something like this if you're actually cutting boards, because usually when you're talking about an angle, it's an angle off of the 90 degrees. The angle we're actually describing here, if you kind of zoom in on the board, the angle we're describing ends up being this one, because it's this angle right here. That's the one we actually found, so it ends up being this angle right here. So, yeah, that would end up being, this is the 72-degree angle, and then the one down here was the 18-degree angle.